job and she wants to take it to a Pixie. So what I've already done is I've wet her hair down and I just kept this stuff out so you guys can see what her texture's like. And I'm going to actually start at the nape. And if you look, what I've done is I've sectioned out the hair at the nape to make it more clean and to help me do what we call setting in the hairline. So I'm going to just take these pieces of hair and I'm going to use the side of my razor to melt the hair against the nape. So I'm gonna pull it out ever so slightly, and then I'm gonna start by putting the razor on its side and then just moving and gliding like this. What this is gonna do is it's gonna really help to make this look more tailor-made for her, and the stuff at the nape is gonna grow in really nice and clean. And this stuff that's a little bit of the excess, I'm just gonna go on the side and just take that right off. The hairline and the attention that we spend on cleaning up the hairline really helps ensure that the cut looks like it was made specifically for them.
I've always loved that this is something in the Bumble way of cutting that you guys do kind of first. I think lots of times people think about this as an afterthought. You know, they kind of get in, they do the whole haircut, and then they do a little something to the hairline at the end. And I can remember, you know, in the early 90s, I guess it was the mid 90s, seeing it for the first time and thinking, wow, that's just so much smarter because the hair on top of it just lays so much better.
It does, and the reason why we like to start here is because this other stuff that's I have pinned up is gonna come down over it. And by taking this down in such a way that it hugs the neck really well, it's gonna ensure that we get this really nice curvature at the nape, so it just looks really beautiful.
If someone's not done this before, any tips? I see that, you know, you're like pinching the hair, and what about direction with the razor?
Great question. So I'm gonna start, first I wanna think about the direction that the hair is traveling in. As you can see, it's pointing down this way and she's got this swirl happening here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift the hair up and opposite the direction that it's growing. And then by putting the blade on the side and pressing the back against her nape, I then take these nice long strokes. And even though this section's really thin, the amount of time that I took to do that, you can see it's just kind of like melted the hair away. And then this, it doesn't look as heavy as it did. And it allows the hair to just hug her head really nicely and not like poke out.
So long, slow strokes, gets it softer, helps it lay down to the neck.
Correct. And then the stuff that's underneath it, it's gonna grow back in really nice and soft if I make sure that I'm using the side of the blade and just kind of tugging the skin a little bit with my thumb for a little bit of tension there on the skin. And it just comes right off. But I'm working in these little strokes to help soften, keep this area looking soft, not like it's been cut at.
Right, you're not just buzzing it off, it's just making it taper out. I can remember many, many years ago, an educator here told me it's like, try to make it look like a newborn baby's hairline.
Yes,
I've used that line for so long.
That's a great way of describing it. So see how soft it is? It's almost like it fades away.
Yeah, beautiful.
And so now these little pins here, we're clipping up some longer pieces that are actually going to be part of the nape as well. The reason why I pin them up is because they kind of move in a different direction than the hair that was underneath it. And so what I have to do is really pay attention to the growth patterns and how the hair is moving. And sometimes it's gonna be in little bitty sections like this. So I'm lifting up and I'm looking at the root and seeing how there are hairs that just wanna like go down a little bit more before they wanna go up. See how when I pull the hair and let it just go where it wants to go, the hair is all kind of traveling into the center.
Yeah, the direction of growth is just so important, especially when you want like a very natural effect with the razor.
There, exactly.
You want to get that hair to like lay together and fuse together.
we can try and tell the hair what to do, what we want it to, but that's
It's
really
only a
never gonna
temporary solution.
work. Exactly.
And it takes a real professional. So if you're just joining us, we are here at the House of Bumble. So happy to be here. It's been a while. I'll give you, this is the library. Those of you who've been here before will know, very amazing facility created for the culture and craft of hairdressing, and has literally had hundreds, if not thousands of students go through here since the past 15 years or so. And I'm just happy to be here with Christian, who's sharing the razor ethos here, and his beautiful model Annette having a big change. So be sure to say hello and ask questions. We did see some love coming in, you know, just for that level of detailing. Our friend Milo Maximovich, Taylor Jameson, she's a big razor cutter, and she loves the clips that you're using there to hold up the hairline.
Thank you.
And then Kenneth Tham was wondering about the razor. Kenneth, it's a feather plie, but it was the Bumble Special Edition. I'll show you right here. Wood handle that is unfortunately no longer available. It's a very coveted item for the hairdresser, but they haven't made them in quite a while, unfortunately. But it's comparable. It is a feather plie.
Okay, so I just want to show you what I've done next in terms of the nape. So I combed everything down, and then I really combed the hair in the direction that the root wants to travel. So you can see the hair is telling me how it wants to be sectioned. And I'm responding to that by just doing what the hair is asking me to do to help me set in that hairline a little bit better. So taking the hair, and this is curving in, so I'm gonna curve opposite the direction, and then cutting it with the flat of my blade. Now it just wants to, it's almost like I created a graduation that allows it to just set right into the nape. And this hair all wants to travel this way, but this hair wants to come in this way. It's kind of like merging together here. So I'm gonna split it apart, and I'm gonna comb this opposite the direction that it wants to travel, which is up and in. So I'm combing it down and away. And nice big strokes with the razor helps it to just lay right down.
Now, I know you prepared the hair with product before. How important is that with razor cutting, and what did you use?
Yeah, I use BB Prep. Prep is a primer product, and I think we talk about products being just as important of a tool as, what we're cutting with. So because these products help us to create the results that we want to see. Sorry, these help us to create the looks that we want to see. Prep is a primer that helps to soften the hair, make it more moisturized and conditioned, and allows us to work with the hair while it's damp, but it doesn't weigh the hair down the way that water can.
I know the other really popular product you could use for this is tonic.
Yeah.
Why choose Prep over tonic?
I chose Prep over tonic because Prep is better for hair that's really soft. And though Annette has color-treated hair, her hair is very, very soft. So if I use tonic, it may weigh down too much. So I've got the neckline set in. And now what I'm going to do is start doing the stuff just below the occipital. Did that answer your question about the prep, by the way?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Kenneth. Kenneth says he's definitely been inspired to razor due to Hairbrained and Gerard Scarpese. Well, then you're in for a treat, because we're here with the home of razor cutting, modern razor cutting. We're at BBU, and I'll be honest, that's where many years ago I got all my inspiration and learned so much about different ways of thinking about hair. We love scissor shear cutting with clippers. It's about the hairdresser and what they're doing, but embracing the razor, it just gives you a different language to speak with that hair.
Yeah, and we're so happy to have you here, Gerard. So excited to be.
Can't wait to do more.
Brand. Yeah, me too. We got a bunch of stuff coming up in the spring, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, I'm paying attention to the fact that our hair wants to grow in and curl. And I'm gonna work with this and convince the hair to lay down and then come at a cute little curl like that. And then this is going to become more rounded to the head shape. So this is gonna become squared off with length at the bottom. This is gonna be rounded, and then I'm gonna move into the front. I'm gonna start in the center. Whoop, almost lost that comb.
Some days I just drop combs all day.
Isn't that funny how that happens?
And some days don't drop anything ever. It's just once it starts though, it's like.
Same thing with cutting yourself. I feel like
Yeah.
there's the days where I just continuously cut myself. And I'm using broad strokes because the broad strokes are helping me to keep length and remove weight at the same time. So it's creating this nice soft effect that also allows the hair to just sit right at the nape.
So just kind of vertical sections and angling your finger and then using a big, deep, broad stroke.
Correct. And the sections are being over-directed to the previous section to create a little bit more length. It's going to happen here behind the ear so I can get that nice little curl.
Very often people ask me about like guides with razor cutting. Because, it is a little different, especially when you're, this open with your stroke. So any tips to people who maybe have a hard time finding a guide or?
Trust your eye.
Yeah.
I think that's the scary thing is like we've been trained to question our own creativity, our own artistic eye, but in actuality, it's all right there. We just have to trust that we're seeing it and that our eye is actually, we need to just trust what our vision is. That's something that we talk a lot about in our education is what we call developing the eye. It's just like learning how to see things. And also remembering that we're artists and we have like a certain level of creative intuition as well.
Do you still believe that, it helps you to develop your eye by learning some of the like classic scissor cuts first?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I actually think that I didn't become really good at razor cutting until I took courses at Vidal Sassoon. Because Vidal Sassoon's courses really taught me how to work with the head shape and how to understand the way that hair falls and all of that. And then what Bumble's training did for me was open me up to becoming more creative and becoming more whimsical in my approach to hair cutting. I mean, there's a lot of formality to our approach as well, don't get me wrong, but there is something that's really fun and freeing about working with the razor.
So this is another panel, just going a little further up the head shape. Is it kind of continuing what you've been doing underneath?
I'm doing a slight graduation now. What I want to do is accentuate the round of the low crown. I'm following, my finger is creating the guide more or less.
The finger angle and...
Yeah, the angle at which I'm holding it.
And still the same over direction, back, building weight behind the ears.
Correct. I'm going to remove a little bit of weight in there first, help the hair to hug better, and then
what about the thickness of the section? Is any tips there with razor cutting?
Well, the fun thing about razor cutting is you can actually go a little thicker with your sections than you can with scissors because the razor cuts off a lot more hair than the scissor does, or can. So It really all depends on what kind of cut you're doing and what kind of hair texture and hair type and density you're working on. But typically, you can go a little bigger.
Yeah.
And the fun thing is that I'm creating, just to share, back here, I'm going to just take out a little bit of this corner here. So I'm changing my direction. And I'm just gonna make it slim, but then leave length so that everything kind of hugs in like that.
So by taking out some of that weight, it allows that hair to push.
Correct.
Yeah, beautiful.
You get this fun little boop, little curly cue action. We're going like borderline Pixie here.
So that's like a pixie bob.
Yes.
I wanted to show this beautiful work on the back part of the collection here. These are sketches from Alexander de Paris, one of the all-time godfathers of hairdressing. If any of you are just joining us, we're here at the BBU, the House of Bumble. And if you've been here, then you know this room. This is the library with the incredible collection of books, where when you're on break from a class, you can look through and gain inspiration, network with your peers. It's an amazing place to be. We're working with Christian von Bremen, and he is taking us through this beautiful little makeover on Annette. Hi, Annette. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah? Excited for your new look?
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see.
Awesome. If you have any questions, just feel free to type them in here, and I will be sure to address them with Christian. Beautifully hugging into the head there.
Ah, thank you. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything down from the crown.
Got some love coming in. Taylor Jameson. Cam Rachel says he is perfection. Taylor says very cool.
Thank you. I also, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually wet down the front. So I'm going to show you how I like to use prep. And this is priming the hair. So just a little quick shot of it. I want to saturate the hair, but I'm going to start at the ends, because the ends are the part of the hair that needs the most moisture. Even if I'm going to be cutting this stuff off, I like to start at the most porous parts and then work my way up. And this product is incredibly light, very gentle, and it's not going to weigh the hair down at all. In fact, it actually makes it so much softer, and I don't have to worry about any kind of tangling or anything like that. And I'm taking the time to really massage the product into the cuticle. And then I'm going to just start coming through it with a bigger tooth comb just to get rid of any tangles. And the reason why I'm doing this right now is my next step is actually I'm going to start working with paying attention to the way that the hair grows out of the head. I want to make sure that this haircut is effortless for her to style and that it looks good whether she's just rolled out of bed or whether she has blown it out and put product in it and is getting ready to go out for the evening. I want it to be easy, effortless, cool, and also just showcase her own personal style well. So what I'm doing right now is I'm combing the hair around and trying to identify where her whorl is. And that is going to be more or less how I determine my sectioning from here on out.
So kind of the way the hair grows from the crown.
Correct. And that's helping me also see the stuff that wants to sit around the face, the stuff that wants to sit in front of the ear, and the stuff that's going to be at the crown. So I look to where the hair just wants to split itself off naturally. For instance, here, the hair really wants to just section itself off here pretty naturally. And you can see I've got this really nice clean part that's going off to the hairline. So I'm going to match that over here. And this area is more or less going to become what would be known as the bang section, but because this is going to be a shorter haircut, it's not necessarily going to be a bang. And then
So it's kind of a triangle shape, pie shape from the
Yeah.
high point of the head from the whirl.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then this area, the hair is kind of pointing forward, and it's just wanting to split here naturally. When you're combing the hair when it's damp in the direction that it wants to grow out of the head, it pretty much tells you how it wants to be sectioned, and then you respond to that. So by combing into that parting the hair created for me, I've now just gotten my section around the ear.
So for those that are asking, the cutting lotion is prep. It's actually, it's not just for cutting. It's a primer for styling. Helps to equalize the porosity and get that hair much more moldable. And it's a great kind of lubricant for the blade on the hair.
So this is the stuff that's going to fall around the face. And then all of this is going to be like the crown and the sides. So I'm going to take everything that sits, well, let me see here. I want to see how the hair moves before I make my next decision. All right, so this hair, I'm gonna do what we call beach ball sections. And the beach ball sections are like exactly like what you would think of when you think of the stripes of a beach ball. So I'm going through from her whorl, which sits very much at the very center top of her head, the apex. So it really is going to look like a beach ball in a sec. And I'm just working around the head.
So kind of pre-sectioning them all, pivoting off the crown.
Correct. And the reason why I'm not using clips is the prep has really helped me to get the hold and what I need to help me with getting the sectioning. It's not weighing the hair down, so the hair's not like going to keep splitting or falling apart. And I'm just responding to what the head shape and the hair is telling me it wants to do. So on the side here, we've got this section where I say they, like they're, talking to me. But the hair is wanting to do a section like this and a section like this for the sides. So I'm just gonna trust it. If I look at this a little bit more, what it's also saying is that it wants to split off just a little bit more right there. So it's kind of like we're getting these inverted triangles. And that's actually going to help with the round shape that I want to create. So sometimes you just got to be a hair whisperer and ask the hair, like, what do you want to do? You want to do what? Okay, that sounds crazy, but I'll go with it, And then this is going to help me. You can see already the shape is happening here. Like this is going to help me to set in on right around the mastoid. And then this is the stuff that can go right above it. You'll see more when I get there. It'll make a little bit more sense. Something else that helps me with my work is thickening spray. And thickening spray, this is a limited edition bottle for Cancer Awareness Month, but this is something that helps to provide hold for the hair and helps you to, it's kind of like liquid clips more or less. Just spraying it through at the sections and then tapering off through the ends. It's going to help me to see the haircut even better while I'm working. I'm going to switch things up a little bit. Let's do the front. So I'm going to take this section and separate it in half. And then looking at her hair wants to come over this way, so I'm going to listen to it. I'm not going to try and tell it to do something other than what it wants to do. I'm going to take all this and holding it right off the round of the head, what that's going to do is it's going to give me a little bit of a soft graduation so that the hair will just want to like hug her forehead. Are there any questions?
No, just there was some questions about prep. I think we covered that, and then people just really enjoying it and excited to see the makeover.
So I'm using what we would call like broad strokes, and the reason why I'm choosing to do broad strokes is it's going to help make everything nice and soft.
Were those broader than what you were using in the back?
It was broader than what
Yeah.
I'm using in the back. And there's a little weight right here, so I'm just going to go in and chip it out like that. So that's a little bit of weight removal. And you check your work by moving it when you're doing the razor, because the razor's all about creating movement and softness and not worrying so much about everything matching up and being the perfect line. You can do that later at the end if you want with scissors. But more or less, this is just like the length that I want it to be. And then we're gonna come over to this side.
It's beautiful already.
Thank you.
Nice little swing.
I'm gonna let this side be my guide for this side. Actually, I have to change the razor. This got really...
It's funny that you ask, because someone just said, how often do you change your blade?
I changed my blade.
Summer Burke.
It's like you're psychically in tune with me.
Yeah.
I change the blade usually like every couple of haircuts. Sometimes you'll work on coarser hair and you may need to change the blade like right after that haircut, or sometimes in the middle of the haircut. And sometimes you just get blades that just aren't as sharp as the others, you know? So the blade that I just replaced, I think I'd done 2 haircuts on. Like midway through, that last section, I was like, I feel like it's getting too dull for me to get the cut I want. So that's why I stopped.
It's like sharpening a pencil. You sharpen it when you need to.
That's a good example.
Yeah. There's no rule. You just, when you need it sharper, you sharpen. But you can see the difference, how it just melted right off.
Yeah. So I'm checking it by moving it. There's a little bit of weight here still, so I'm just gonna chip into it.
So when you do that, you just kind of break the plane of the hair with the tip, and you just kind of do a little soft stroking motion,
Yeah.
creating some space and separation.
Yeah. And then I check my work by moving it around, seeing how it wants to take bend. Like, does the hair want to take on a bend?
There's a question from Cam Raquel that I hear very often as well. So do you do like a scissor trim in between your razor cuts, or do you feel you can razor cut someone every time you cut their hair?
I'll cut razor every time. And then sometimes maybe they want to change it up, and then I'll use the scissor. But I find like once a person gets a razor cut, they tend to get razor cuts every time. And another nice thing about that is that the longevity of the cut is, it can last longer, and it just like evolves better on them. And I think every client appreciates when they have a haircut that just lives for a nice long time, looks good throughout the whole grow out process. So they may not come in and see you as often, but they're thrilled with what they get, and then, you know, they tell all their friends. And
Okay, so this is a slightly different approach now, being able to kind of, and I know a lot of people have a challenge with this, with razoring and elevating like this. So any tips you can give?
yeah, so think about trying to keep your hand as parallel to the floor as possible. And what that does is it takes out little corners so that it helps the hair to like hug the head shape better. And it seems really intimidating and like you're doing something really crazy, and you may take off too much, but in actuality, when it all lays back down, it actually just looks more fluid and less, like even more, you're able to get even more movement. So there are details that I want to do here, but I'm going to save that for the end, because stuff that I'm seeing that I want to remove now, I may want to have kept at the end. So better to leave it than wish that you kept it. Okay, I'm just going to have you unhook this side. All right, so this is going to be face framing, and it's the hair is wanting to section itself off in the 2 sections. So I'm just following that and then combing it forward. Whoopsie. Sorry. I'm just gonna tuck this behind the ear. And now what I'm going to do is take all this stuff and I'm going to connect this length here. Actually, I'm going to just have to re-wet that a little bit. Just going to take this and comb it all together, and then this is I'm gonna just blend this into the side here, and it's gonna hug her face really cute, but still a little too dry there before I cut. You need to make sure the hair is nice and damp when you're cutting with the razor. Otherwise, it could tug the hair too much and not give you as clean of a cut. But see how the hair is like, it really wants to curve like that. So I'm gonna play with that.
Finley, the brand of razor that Bumble uses, and that, you know, the majority of people that love to razor cut use is feather. They make many different types of razors. This one's the feather plie. So this is for those who want to do unguarded razor cutting, although it does come with a guard that you can kind of slide over it if for whatever reason you want to do that. But if you get to that point where you want to work unguarded, the feather plie is the ultimate tool.
So I've got this one area here that just sits right over the ear, and I want to work with this cute little pixie moment, but what do you do with all this length? I take a nice slim triangular section, and I'm going to actually cut it so that it falls, take that out, so that it like removes weight around the ear. And then the other stuff just goes right on top of it.
So after you kind of framed it, now you're dealing with the way the length falls over the ear.
Yeah.
Just customizing it. So it's so like liberating, you know, to not be restricted by like cutting angles, if you know what I mean. Like you're really just kind of sculpting the density of the hair the way you want it to go, and not like, oh, how do I make this piece connect to this piece?
Right. It's more like by responding to where the hair lives naturally, you're just responding to where it wants to be. And then how can you make harmony happen throughout the head section to section?
Yeah, and the razor is just such a great tool for that, because it just like connects to your fingertips, and you know, where you point your fingers, it does it. You know, not that a scissor's not a great tool, but it's just so much more architectural.
Yeah.
You kind of, once you lay in a line, you really, you know, you can't just go in a totally different direction. Where with a razor, you've got that freedom to manipulate your shape as you're working with it. But that comes with a lot of responsibility, because you have to really, you know, have the hands to do it. Otherwise, it just kind of turns into a big salad, big salad of hair.
Yeah.
A hair salad.
No one likes a hair salad.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna go through, and I'm just kind of paying attention to I'm just listening to my intuition right now and just responding to what I'm seeing in order for me to get all these sections to work well together.
So these are all the pre-section kind of beach ball sections.
Correct.
Looks like you're taking the top out a little bit and working.
The top out. I'm cutting it off like just at the parietal area, because I want to make this slim, and then I want this to have a slight over, like this is going to be undercut so that this can hang over it and have a little bit more movement.
Cool. No, that's not a good shot. I was trying, you know. If you're just joining us, you can see we're in the library here at the House of Bumble in the Meatpacking District in New York City. iconic place for the craft and commerce of hairdressing. I can remember the first times I came in here, probably over 15 years ago, closer to 20, I'm sure. It just really opened my eyes to so many things, you know, such a beautiful space. This is just the library. This is where, when you check in for classes and when you're on breaks, you can kind of hang out with your fellow hairdressers and look through this incredible library and some of these collection of wonderful art. And we're here with Christian von Bremen. He's one of the top educators here at Bumble, kind of leader of the global team. And this is beautiful model Annette getting this wonderful makeover. She looks amazing. Love this cut. Sending appreciation from Winnipeg. That's coming in from Lillian.
Oh, thank you. I love Winnipeg.
You can see right there the benefit of the product too, because you can start to sculpt the hair and see how it's moving.
Yeah.
You know, when the hair is just totally I want to say uncoated or like raw with nothing in it, it's just, you can't manipulate it as much and kind of look for the opportunities.
I'm really paying attention to how the hair is traveling together, and looking at the grain, and then the stuff that's poking out and like not really able to get combed as well is an area where I might need to make some adjustments. So down here, I actually want to see a little bit more strength. Oh, whoa, that was like a slingshot.
It's like I said, once you start throwing combs, it just keeps happening.
I'm gonna just switch out to the shears because I want to play with strengthening this area just a bit.
So that's all overlapping that little corner, and that's that little bit of extra kick that you've been talking about.
Yeah, I just want to, I feel like it's soft and it's doing what I want it to do, but there are areas where it's too soft and I really want to see a little bit more definition. So that's working. Now I'm going to do around the face. How's it looking over here? Yeah, this is cute. I'm going to keep that and maybe just get rid of that a little bit. I'm going to keep that and then save the rest for detail work at the end. All right. So I'm going to come around to the other side. I'm going to do the same thing over here.
So you've got your beach ball sections in. It seems like you're just kind of like taking off the top and leaving that for later.
Yeah.
Just the top of the kind of pie-shaped beach ball shape.
Yeah.
And undercutting leaner, closer to the head.
And I'm just like, and like the best thing is that I've got that thickening spray in there, so it's going to help me to remember where those sections were if I happen to lose sight of it later. I'm just re-dampening a little bit with the prep. And again, I'm gonna bring this side over. It's looking so cute. And this is gonna be more or less my guide for what happens in front of the ear. Let me have you, I'm just gonna come over here.
Shania is asking about the razor. Unfortunately, Shania, those wood-handled feather pliés are not available anymore. They haven't been for about 10 years. But if you're looking for the plastic version, they sell them in the Bumble Pro shop. We also sell them on hairbrain.pro. But unfortunately, the wood ones are not available. Believe me, I've tried to get more.
Me too. Once this one's gone,
that's it.
That's it. So I talked about this earlier. I'm just like getting rid of some extra weight above the ear, but keeping it soft so that it still wants to hug. And then this is coming down over it. over directing a little bit and using the area here as my guide. And now I'm going to go more vertical with this to square off the side. And see how everything just like hugs. And then I'm going to leave this stuff out, like on the other side. I'm going to save this top area for last. So this is more like the side above the ear, and then this is the stuff that's going to like hug down here.
Shayna is just asking about the thickening spray. Why was that something that you chose to use?
I use thickening because it's helping to add a little bit of hold to the hair while I'm cutting. So it's almost like I said earlier, it's like spray and clips. So it's like it's helping me to hold the hair and give it what the structure that I need while I'm cutting, so I don't have to rely on clips to keep the hair out of my way. And then later, it helps with the style. So however I choose to style the hair at the end, the thickening spray is going to help it to hold and have even better styleability. But I'm re-dampening it with prep right now. Making sure that I'm keeping the hair damp.
So all this is still part of the shorter underneath?
Yeah. I'm just, right now what I'm thinking about is keeping it like slim here, but long enough here that it can hug her nape nicely. So let's take a look at how everything's working together. So see how it's all wanting to stay together and it's blending nicely. Then there are just little areas where I need to remove some extra stuff. So I'm going to switch to the scissor really quick to strengthen this hair here. So everything just hugs and lays nicely. And then coming forward, it's got this nice bend happening. So this is how I check my work. I just check to see how it's moving, how it's fitting the head. I want to strengthen this up just a little bit.
That's the thing with great razor cutting. It's about moving it. So being able to push it all forward, push it all back. Instead of combing it constantly straight down into like one position, it's like seeing how it moves and what you see as it swings around the head.
All right. Now I'm just going to take everything down and I'm going to start doing the same thing that I just was doing with the beach ball sections, but I'm just going to do it with the intent of wanting to create roundness.
So we started in the back, we got the little kind of undercut in the nape, and then there was a little bit of weight buildup, came into the sides, beach ball sectioned it all off, cut in the beautiful fringe there, a little bit shorter in the center, working out longer in the corners, face frame, and then began the undercutting. So a lot has happened quickly.
Yes. And the hair is still remembering how I combed it before because of that thickening spray. I'm gonna remove some weight, and then I'm removing some length. I'm gonna do that again, removing some weight, and then removing length.
It's like that combination of the two things really makes a difference in the hair, going in and being able to kind of slice through with the blade and remove the weight and then work on the length. It's kind of the combination happening all the time.
This stuff is later going to get elevated, and I'm going to cut off these corners with the upward stroke, but I'm saving that for the last step. Just so you know, because it does look a little longer here than here, but that's going to change. And I'm going to do the same over here. She doesn't have as much weight on this side as she does on the other, so I'm not going to be likely removing as much weight as you saw me do on the other side. And now we're going to go around to the back. And already, again, I'm always responding to how the hair wants to separate itself out. So this hair is all kind of gathering here. So that's one section. This area is wanting to be a section, and then this area is going to be a section. So it's almost like the hair is already telling me it's like corner, corner, and then back.
I love the way it's working with the color. It's really, now you can see the depth in the base, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, it really encourages the texture, being darker at the root and then lighter on the ends. Fascinated work, says Lisa Coleman. I think it's so different for people very often to see such kind of intuitive work, where maybe we learn like some basic shapes and we always put that shape in, and then after the shape's in, we kind of maybe do a little bit of pointing and slicing to it to customize it. But to see the whole thing be kind of just so much more loose and intuitive is, I think, very often eye-opening for people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Taylor. Taylor says razor cutting is finally becoming more mainstream. Yeah, it's been a long road. Yeah, I'd say, the rebirth was in the mid-90s, and it had a lot of time for people to relearn something that had been lost and reinvent it. But yes, I think we are seeing it more now than I ever have. I think a lot of that has to do with Bumble's contribution in the past few decades to the craft. We see a lot of people out there, myself included, that went through different programs with Bumble to kind of help us become the hairdressers we are today. And excited to say that in the next few months, this academy will be up and running again, offering courses. And Christian was just talking about some digital projects they have. So the university will be really back to full speed and contributing to our industry.
I'm just going through and removing weight where I see it accumulating. There's one little piece here that I missed. There it is. I think in profile it's so cute.
Yeah, it is. Very pretty.
Okay, so I want to start moving it around a little bit more, and I'm going to go in and start doing some detail work.
Beautiful.
Feels like,
Yeah. Feel liberated?
yeah.
I'm going to add some repair. This is going to help bring a little bit more moisture and separation to her hair. It's great to use before blow dry, but I also like to use it while I'm cutting when I've gotten to that point where the hair is on the damp side, but starting to dry. I don't want to have to wet it again because I really want to start to see the detail and really working it into the cuticle with my hands. I'm going to add a little bit more.
And I think what it's become a lot more common now, but again, for me, it was one of these revolutions of really using product, and not just like one like little cutting lotion, but using product throughout the cut to mold it and shape it and see what was there. And I just remember first seeing that with Bumble, with some of the original products, the grooming cream, the Brilliantine, and I think it made such an impact on me. I don't think I would want to cut hair without great product.
No, it's sometimes if I'm cutting hair, like if I have to go to a friend's house and they want a quick haircut, I don't have product to work with.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like it's gonna look so much better if I have some product in it while I'm working. But...
Very true.
All right, so there's still some detail that I need to do. I'd like to do it with the scissor, just to get a little bit more strength in certain areas. So I'm gonna go through and do detail work with the scissor now.
So you just, when you think, okay, I need a little more strength, then you reach for the scissor.
Correct. The razor's great because it's so intuitive, and you can like really just go with your creative eye and move really fast. And then sometimes you just want to go in and refine certain areas a little bit more with the scissor.
And pretty much always point cutting with this, as opposed to kind of more club or what people would call, blunt cutting.
In the areas where I want to see a lot of movement, I point cut, and I do pretty deep point cutting to replicate the effort of the razor. But in other areas, like you saw me do at her nape area, I wanted to see strength there, so I cut more blunt. How are we on time?
It's 10:53, so we're right on schedule.
Great, almost there, guys.
I love that. Just a little swoop to the side there.
That's the thing too about the razor, is it really helps to get that movement in the hair, and you can just push it with the comb, and if it's all traveling together, you know that you've done something right.
Rob Hollis is saying, love that room, had some great lunches there. Yeah. Let's scan through here. Yep, they provide wonderful food here. And then this is just this collection here of incredible, all these books are related to hair and fashion. And then, you get to kind of connect with your fellow students and educators here. So it looks like early summer, classes will be up and running again, which is exciting.
I'm doing a little bit of what we call it's like slide cutting, but we also say like talking the scissors down the hair to create weight removal. Because it's kind of like the scissors are just going like...
I'm definitely going to steal that one. I like that sound effect.
You have to actually use the sound effect while you do it, or it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I'm going to save that for the end with the razor.
Do you find as you kind of zero in on the finish, you tend to get a little bit more quiet? This is like so visual.
So visual. I'm pretty quiet as a hairdresser in general. I'm not a really chatty hairdresser. But when I realize that like I've got a couple minutes left to finish, then I definitely get even more.
Don't rush. We're okay. Yeah.
Talking the scissor down, just helping to release some weight there. push that down.
Don't cut the mask off. We don't want to break any policies. We're not rebels.
Well, I am, but just not when it comes to this.
Yeah.
All right, just want to strengthen this area a little bit more.
What are some of your favorite references for shorter hair? I mean, I think we always hear about Audrey Hepburn, and unfortunately, I think probably a lot of younger people aren't super familiar, but what are some of your other references?
Love Edie Sedgwick.
Yeah.
She's one of Andy Warhol's muses. Twiggy, one of the first supermodels of the world, Twiggy from the 1960s. I think women in the 60s had such great short haircuts. And then also, I love looking at like the Riot Girls of the 1990s with their short hair, especially with this rootiness. I'm getting a little Riot Girl energy. She could put some barrettes in her hair. She's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justine Frischman from the band Elastica.
Oh yeah. Great band.
What else? I love, actually my friend did this haircut. Greta Gerwig's hair in the movie 20th Century Women is like one of my favorite haircuts of all time.
I haven't seen that. I'll have to check it out.
So good. Actually, it's a really phenomenal film. Let me tilt down. And I'm just gonna cut that nice and blunt and then see how that looks. Yeah, little point right there. It's just some extra weight. And that's gonna look better if I use the razor. So I'm gonna get that weight out with the razor.
What made you like make that determination? I know it's intuitive, but there's got to be some like determining factor where you're like.
Because well, the reason is because there's so much texture and softness there that if I went too blunt or used the scissor, even if I took the weight out, it's still gonna sit differently there than if I used the razor. So just a little more fine tuning here. It's all about just like the time that you take to look at the detail and see where the hair is wanting to change and where the hair is moving and where it's not moving. And where it's not moving is usually an indication where you need to remove weight. So now this is the pièce de résistance, the finishing touch. I'm going to take this hair and I'm going to use the razor to remove weight and the corner so I get a little bit more roundness and movement at the crown. Cute. And then I'm going to do the same here. And the same here. Taking these corners off. And keeping my hand parallel to the floor. Okay, and for finishing, I'm going to take a little bit of this BB cream contour. It's going to add fullness to her hair and texture and separation, but it's not going to weigh it down. It was actually made for people with fine hair that want to see a lot of volume and separation, but are afraid to put any kind of oils in their hair.
Are a lot of the products still kind of tested on runways and backstage? I remember that was kind of, a lot of the inspiration was how do we get this perform? How do we get it to perform for runway work? Well, then it's going to be fantastic for the salon.
Exactly. We let the stylists in the salon play with the product and give their feedback. And then we have people that actually work in our corporate offices will try the products, and so people will get a sample and then get to take it home with them and try it and see what they think. And oh, you can hook your thing back on. I'm sorry.
It's amazing what that product did. It just put that moisture and it's transformed your texture, brought out wave.
Yeah.
I love when one little thing just kind of changes everything.
Yeah, it really actually.
I haven't tried that one before. I'll have to add that to the list.
It's good stuff. I love this product, especially on shorter haircuts and bobs.
Beautiful transformation here at the House of Bumble. If you're just joining us now, this will be saved. So you can watch all the way from the beginning and see Annette had kind of a one-length bob down a little bit above the shoulders. And she was ready for a big change today, and she got one. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, I love the root. I just feel like it gives
Yeah.
it so much more dimension. And
Absolutely. And it's kind of a tricky thing to do when you take hair down short, but the way that it works with the depth on the base there, it's awesome.
I like that it's just hugging the nape really nicely. I'm going to do a little bit of detail work once we're done, but for the most part, this is the look.